Hello everybody, welcome back to Life Stories. My name is Trent and I hope you're all doing awesome as always. Today we got more stories coming at you from Reddit/idontworkherelady. Will they actually work there? Will there be ladies? We've asked these questions a million times. Let's see how they get answered, because we're starting now. Our first story is titled, Karen Thinks I'm a Cop and Has a Fit. So, this is just a warning, but this happened literal years ago, so some of the details are a bit fuzzy to me. Sorry about that. But I figured I'd post it anyways, since I'm sure someone will enjoy it, so I'll just tell it how I remember it. If any Reddit tubers decide to read this, my family lived in Texas at the time, so you can have fun with the voices. Oh, make no mistake, I will. Here's the setup of what happened. I was a 15-year-old boy at the time, in the Police Explorers. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty much the Scouts except geared towards helping youth learn about the police, and eventually getting a career in law enforcement. My father was a patrol sergeant at the local constable's office, so he was a supervisor. The constable was close with most of his officers, and was a family friend. He had known me since I was around 6. I was in an explorer's uniform, so I did kind of look like an officer, but I was obviously too young. We had just gotten back from the explorers and stopped by the station so he could take care of something real fast. I don't remember what, and so I waited in front of the station for him. I sat down and put in earbuds to waste time waiting for my father. About 3 minutes in, I feel that uncomfortable feeling you get when someone stares at you for a while. So I look up and see her. It was the dreaded Karen, ridiculous dyed bob and all. Our cast: OP, me; D, my dad; CO, the constable; K, Karen; C1 and C2, our other police officers. I take out my earbuds and look up asking, "Do you need something from me, miss?" She scoffed at me and said, Finally, you shouldn't be on your phone on the job." She stops to look at my name on the uniform. OP, I'm gonna have a chat with that supervisor after this. I was a little confused, seeing as I am obviously too young to be a cop, but felt like I could clear this up pretty fast. I make the mistake of stopping her. Ma'am, I'm a police explorer, not a... Karen snapped at me. "Don't you interrupt me! I want to file a report, so go behind the desk and do your job." I look at her with "you've got to be kidding me" look, and decide I don't want to deal with this. I decide to wait for my dad outside instead, so I start to walk off. Admittedly, another mistake on my part. Kay is a bit taken back at first, but recovers fast and follows me, yelling and screaming about how rude I am for walking away from her, and how she's going to have my badge for treating me this way. Yeah, sure lady, take my explorer's badge. Right before I get out, one of my dad's friends walked in. "Hey OP, where's D? I need to talk to him." Of course, the instant he showed up, Karen jumped on poor C1 and starts going off about how I wasn't doing my job and I was rude. C1 stopped her. "Ma'am, OP's not an officer. He's a police explorer." Karen stops and tries to process what he said, and fails to do so. Maybe she just didn't know what an explorer was. "Who cares? It's his job to help me. Do you know who I am?" The legendary response. C1 decided to drop trying to explain what a police explorer was, and just decided to defuse the situation. No, I don't. Look, ma'am, if you have a problem or concern, you should go to the front desk. They should be able to help you better." At this point, this is obviously causing a scene, and another one of my dad's coworkers pulls me aside as C1 tries to deal with her. "OP, what's going on here?" she asked me as we went a bit further away from them. "Well, Miss C2, I was sitting here waiting for my dad, and this lady," I gestured towards her, "started going off on me for being rude and not doing my job." I did the air quotes with my fingers. She looks at me, then back over to K and C1. "OP, I'm sure C1 will take care of this. Do you want to wait in the back for D?" I say yes and follow her to the back. About 3 or so minutes in, my dad comes out and sees me sitting in the back waiting for him with C2. "Hey C2, what's OP doing back here? Did something happen?" "Yeah, there was a woman up front harassing OP, so I took him back here to wait." My father talked to C2 and says he'll take care of it. He walks off to let the constable know about the disturbance up front and not to worry about it, then comes back a few minutes later. He took me up front to leave. The woman saw me and my father about to walk out and made a beeline towards us, completely blowing off C1 as she did. "Excuse me, are you a supervisor?" My father, who literally towers over her, looks down at this Karen. "Yes. Do you need something, miss?" "Yes, I would like to have a talk with you about your officer's attitude." My father looked down to me. I nodded to him as if to say, "This is her." My dad was about to have the talk with her, but then the CEO came up front. "OP, come to my office," he said in a commanding voice. I looked up to my dad, a bit worried now. "Go ahead." He gently pushed me in CEO's direction. So I walk over to CEO and follow him to his office. Karen looked pleased, thinking I was in trouble, then turned back to my father. CEO and I sat down in his office, and I looked at him, confused. "Your dad told me what's going on. I don't want you to have to deal with her. My wife made some cookies. Would you like some?" Sure," I said. I went ahead and took a few, thanking him. We sat in the office for about 2 minutes. Then CEO took me out front. At this point, Kay seemed pretty upset, obviously because my father talked her down. So I walked over to my father, and he went to talk with C1 for a bit. As this was happening, Karen decided to go to CEO and started to complain. CO interrupted her and told her something about how I was clearly a teenager, not a police officer, and even if I was an officer, she was out of line treating his officers and I the way she did. If she needed something, she would have to go to the front desk like everyone else. I'm not sure what happened to her after that, as we left the station pretty quickly after my dad talked to C1 and Kay didn't come back outside. In all my time reading these stories, the one constant that I will never understand, I can get wearing red to Target and getting mistaken. I can get wearing blue to Best Buy or Walmart and getting mistaken. But seeing a child in a police officer uniform, I don't know what your excuse is supposed to be for that. Seriously. But hey, at least you got free cookies. Nice. Moving along, our next story is titled, "No, Karen, I cannot help you go to the bathroom." In high school, I worked for a national movie theater chain. While they've since changed them, the uniform at the time consisted of navy blue trousers and a red polo. Nearby, in the same plaza, there were several restaurants and fast food places. Among these was a Panda Express. During my 15-minute break, I'd been at Panda and in line, ordering and waiting to pay for my food. I was minding my own business and hoping that I could get out of there quickly enough to have time to inhale my orange chicken prior to darting back to the box office when my break ended. I'm a bit zoned out, so I became rather startled upon the abrupt ahem, accompanied by a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and took in the sight of what we all know now to be a Karen. "Oh, sorry, was I in your way?" This is my default line of thinking, and I have terrible social anxiety. Karen says, "I said I need to go to the bathroom." Me, now pointing, well, it's over that way, I think." "I know that, obviously," Karen said. I'm confused at this point, because I'm not at all in the way of her getting to the bathroom, and now she's admitted to knowing where it is. I don't know what... Karen, now shouting, "I need the key." At this point, it's time for me to pay for my food. I remember I'm on the outside of the glass counter and waiting in a line. I figure maybe she's trying to get past me to ask the cashier for the bathroom key. So I step back and make room for her to go ahead of me. She doesn't. "I asked you for the bathroom key. Do you not know how to do your job?" I finally realize that she thinks I'm employed there. I guess maybe it's because my work shirt is red and so are the employee uniforms there. Me, now awkwardly pointing at the cinema logo on my polo, "I'm just on my break. I don't..." She must not have looked at the gestures I made to the uniform of the company I'm actually employed by. "Is this your manager?" Karen turns to the cashier. "Your employee is so rude. Just because she's on her break, she's refusing to help me go to the bathroom. She needs to be fired." "Ma'am, she doesn't work here," said the cashier. "Will you be purchasing a meal? Our restaurants are for customers only." Karen sputters, then turns and storms out of the place to terrorize some other establishment with a public restroom. They totally allowed people to use the bathrooms without buying food, by the way. I think they just wanted to have her leave the store because of the scene she'd just made. Well, you know what companies will always tell you, the customer is always right, until they're not. And evidently, the cashier had made that judgment call because I kinda like that little roundabout way of getting a Karen out of your store. Hope you enjoyed your orange chicken regardless. Panda Express is good, really hits the spot when I need some stomach-destroying garbage American Chinese. And anyway, with that out of the way, we are out of time for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Life Stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Reddit content coming your way, and I hope to see you guys soon.